Welcome to another exciting edition of the All Lakers podcast. I'm Andre Drummond, joined remotely by Matt Levine. What's up, Matt?
How's it going, Andre?
It's going well. We're here to talk all things Lakers trades. LA right now is 22 and 23, and looks like offensively it's caught in a bit of a rut. Darvin Ham missed his calling as being the Milwaukee Bucks' next coach, unfortunately for Lakers fans, and now we're stuck with him. That's fine. He could be good. I don't know yet. I feel like maybe. But anyway, so there's a lot of Lakers trades to talk about, a lot of possible Lakers trades to talk about. We've talked about them on this channel many times. But we're here to talk about a couple role players that could be interesting fits that have been bandied about by Jovan Buha from The Athletic and Dave McMenamin from ESPN. So we're talking Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith from the Nets, Gary Trent Jr. from the Raptors, and Andre Drummond. Their fits or relative lack thereof. So, Matt, any of these guys stand out to you as particularly pertinent players to pursue for the Lakers?
Honestly, if this is the backup option for the Lakers, then yes. I don't think any of these players really move the needle too much to the point of making them a contender. Like a true contender. Like obviously the Lakers showed last season, you put them in the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen, right? And more help you can get. I mean, they can get extra depth. That's always a good thing, right? But when it comes to these players, I guess the only one maybe is like a Dorian Finney-Smith, because at least he's versatile and he can kind of guard multiple positions. He could shoot the ball, and that's kind of what the Lakers have lacked is defense and shooting. But I mean, the other ones, I don't know. I don't like it. I really don't, especially because what you're gonna have to give up, because the Raptors are probably going to try to get maybe a first with protections for Gary Trent. I mean, and then Royce O'Neal might go for a couple seconds. Like, I don't know if he's worth that at this point. Again, it's just because if you're making a trade like this, it's to improve the chance of winning a championship. And I don't see any of these players really doing that. And then, when it comes to Andre Drummond, we've been there, done that. And I don't particularly think the Lakers want to do that again. He was okay for them. He had his couple moments, but he also very good. And, his most famous moment on the Lakers was him mimicking LeBron in the playoffs in that viral photo that now everyone mocks the Lakers with. So do they really want to bring him back with that? He's a big body, but really it. His rebounding has declined over the years. He's up a little bit this year from last year, but he's not the same player that he was years ago, like when he was with the Pistons. And I don't know. I know they need a center at this point, but I don't know if Drummond's the answer. And Rob Pelinka likes to pull rabbits out of his hat. He always goes for players that no one ever saw coming. I mean, nobody thought D'Angelo Russell was going to be a Laker last season, and he's a Laker right now. So it's going to be an interesting couple weeks here, but they can get like a more blockbuster type player and then an addition like this on top of it, I'm cool with it. But if this is all it is, you might as well save your draft picks, in my opinion.
Interesting. I feel like I like the Dorian Finney-Smith idea. I like your angle with it. It gives you some defensive versatility. He's basically like a Taurean Prince upgrade. He's a very good defender, and Taurean Prince is like a slightly overrated defender. He's totally okay, but I kind of feel like he shouldn't really be starting, which is another conversation. But Finney-Smith would be an upgrade. He can shoot and defend, and they really need help on the wing. That wing defense is really rough. Jared Vanderbilt's been like rounding into form finally in January, but outside of him, like it's been porous. So they do need help there, and he's making, I think, what was it, $13 million? Yes, $13.4 million. So that's like a D'Angelo Russell trade or something. That's fine. Would the Nets want a D'Angelo Russell reunion? Like, what would it take? I guess, maybe a pick,
But
lottery protected pick.
Do you trade D'Angelo Russell for a Dorian Finney-Smith? Because I don't think I do.
No, Hachimura. Hachimura makes more sense.
But at that point, you're kind of just replacing Hachimura. I don't know. It's kind of like you're just kind of putting. I mean, I guess he's better. He's a much better defender, but I don't know, the upside of Hachimura's offense it intrigues me a little more than I guess Finney Smith. If you can have both on the
Yeah.
team, that would be kind of nice, but I don't know if that's possible. That's the issue with the Lakers roster is that the limited amount of assets that they have, they're basically going to be flipping players for the same position that could be an upgrade or it could just be just a different player at that point. And it's I think the root issue of this team isn't in the roster because coming into this season, the Lakers were seen as one of the best teams in the league based off of this roster, right? I think when it comes down to it, it's how they're being executed on a nightly basis. And the coaching staff is not putting these players into great position. I mean, we've talked about it before. It's been a hot topic over the last like couple weeks in Lakerland with the lineup changes and just decisions being made and kind of somehow stayed afloat. I mean, I think they're ninth right now in the
Yeah.
West, which is impressive in itself with the amount of dysfunction that this team has had, the injuries. But I don't think anything's going to change unless you change something with the coaching staff. And I'm not even saying you have to fire Darvin Ham. He just needs to figure out how to utilize these players.
Interesting. I think I think also I forgot about Gabe Vincent's contract, but you'd have to give them some sort of future draft equity. I think like a pick swap and a Vincent and a second, I don't know. Well, some team might be in better position to give you more for Dorian Finney-Smith. I guess that's the issue. But like if you're the Lakers, you shouldn't want to give up a first for him. He's not good enough. So
But
yeah, I
that's
guess
the
it
issue,
could be kind
though.
of like a last.
That's the issue with the way
Yeah,
the Lakers roster is, and just
yeah.
the league itself is the Lakers don't have the assets to actually go out there and make super competitive offers. If there's multiple teams bidding, the Lakers are probably not winning that bidding war.
No,
Barring unless
well,
the team is in love with a player that the Lakers have, and that's Austin Reeves most likely, and the Lakers are probably not trading him.
yeah, but like a Reeves for Murray kind of deal. I mean, this is a different conversation, but like I think that there are scenarios where the upside of Reeves and the contract of Reeves are appealing enough, and the fact that he's under team control for like 3 more years after this season would move the needle with some deals, even when they don't have like the draft equity in certain situations. Regardless, though, yeah, I get what you're saying with the Finney Smith thing, and I think I agree.
At
It's
least he
it's an
has
interesting thought,
years
but
on
I
his
think they're going to get
contract.
outbid.
Like at least Finney Smith has a couple years on his contract. You're like,
Yeah.
so I guess if you do trade, like let's say a first for him or whatever it looks like, at least he's on the roster for a couple years, and you can always flip him down the line. It's like
Lottery
the other
protected
players are all
first.
free
Yeah.
agents at the end of the year. So if you're really not moving that needle more towards a title this season, you potentially are trading away pieces to then lose these players in a couple months.
Royce O'Neal, interesting. I think that's a situation where like you wouldn't have to give up that much, but it's just like they've got like this clog with their front court anyway, and I don't know like he's not materially better than like Hachimura or somebody, and he's not the defender that Vanderbilt is, but he's a better like rounded two-way player than Vanderbilt. So like I don't really know if he makes much sense, but he could be someone they could get if they move some of those guys in other deals. And then I agree with you on Drummond. I think that um, I've seen a lot of Drummond recently on the Bulls. That guy can get rebounds for days, but like he's not a good defender. He's so slow. He cannot move laterally. He can barely move vertically. Like I don't understand what you would gain from him in this situation. It's a tough thing like finding a fit for him in the NBA at all. Really, like he gets lots of rebounds, and so he gives you second chance opportunities. I guess on offense, sure, and like I guess he can box people out, and so he can help get you the ball back on defense, I guess. But other than that, like he just doesn't really help in the most important defensive position on the floor. So yeah, I don't love his fit. But you give up
Yeah,
nothing to get him, so like whatever, I guess.
yeah. I mean, if you can get him, I guess he's better than nothing.
Better than Jackson
But
Hayes.
yeah, he is. But I mean, at that point, it's kind of a wash for a wash at that point, and you're trading something away to get him too. Even if it is just like a second round pick or something, you're still giving up something for him. And we saw, like I said, it did not work back in 2021. It did not work with this Lakers team. There was like a few moments where he had that were okay, but for the most part, it just didn't really work. I mean, him and Davis didn't really work too well. I mean, I think they also didn't have enough time, so maybe they would have been able to figure something out. But you could say that about anybody. You could say that about Russell Westbrook in a way if you really want to. They were injured, so. But I just think that Andre Drummond just doesn't do anything for this Lakers team. You could probably go out there and get a much better player. Hell, I might even go after Bismack Biyombo rather than Andre Drummond because at least he plays defense.
He can block
I
shots,
believe he's a
sure.
free agent at this point. I think he got cut by the Grizzlies. So why not give him a chance? He can rebound the ball. He plays decent enough defense. I mean, he was pretty decent with the Suns last year. And you don't have to give anything up for him. And if it doesn't work out, you could cut him or let him go at the end of the year. I mean, I think that might be a better option than going out and getting like a Drummond, unless Drummond's coming back in like a DeRozan or a Caruso type trade, as like a salary or just extra player. Then cool, whatever, extra player. But if you're just specifically going out there for Andre Drummond, you're in trouble. Oh, I feel you are in trouble if you are actively wanting to trade for Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I agree. It's really weird that only his name came up with McMenamin and not like as part of a bigger Bulls package. I don't get it. Anyway, all right. So that's the trade talk. Obviously, lots of other names are on the table. These are the guys that we're talking about because we and Doug have addressed pretty much everybody else that's being talked about. We can circle back to names that we wish were being talked about. I've got one, but the other thing we wanted to discuss is just the last couple of days of Lakers action. The last time we had a pod was Friday, and since then they've gone 1-1. They blew out the Portland Trailblazers with a healthy team on Sunday, pretty much. And well, they're missing Taurean Prince, but Hachimura started for him. And then on Tuesday, yesterday, as we record this, they lost to the Clippers without LeBron James, but they put up a valiant effort. So, man, any big takeaways from those two games? And again, the Clippers were at pretty much full strength, except for Ivica Zubac.
Honestly, no. I think the biggest takeaway for me was how they played a couple games previous when they beat the Thunder and the Mavericks in a back-to-back, situation. Obviously, then they dropped the game to the Nets, but that showed me more than what these other two games did. I mean, the Blazers are not a very good team. They fought though. I will give them credit. They almost beat the Thunder the other night, and then I think they beat the Rockets earlier today. And the Rockets are competing for a play-in spot too. So, the Blazers are competitors, but the Lakers blew them out. Like D'Angelo Russell turned into like an all-star in that game, and granted, he's been playing really well the last couple games, but
He's having a great
and then
January, yeah.
I actually loved the effort against the Clippers. I know the defense kind of got shredded a little bit in the first half, but they kind of clamped down a little bit. They cut it to a 2-point game, I think, with like 7 minutes?
Yeah,
something like that left in the game. 8 minutes left in the game, and this
D'Lo
is
had that
without
crazy
LeBron
block
James.
of Harden. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. Like the effort was there, and that is for a fan, for people covering this team. That's what they want to see, right? You don't want to see them going out there and just getting blown out by 20 every night. That's just not great. But especially without a LeBron James and how important he is and what he's been able to do against the Clippers specifically in the first two matchups, where he kind of locked Kawhi down a little bit. They had chances to win that game. The Clippers just have three all-star players, and then Russell Westbrook, who can be an all-star at different times. So 3.5, I'll say. So I loved the effort. And if they can play like that night in and night out, I don't think this Laker team is very far from being a true championship contender. But that's been the issue, is the inconsistency of this team. And we've talked about it before. So, I mean, I guess that's my takeaway. They need to be consistent, because if they just play like that every night, we wouldn't be having that discussion.
No, they'd be the 6th seed or whatever. They'd be safe from the play-in dregs. My big takeaway was the Hachimura thing. I really like Hachimura. Speaking to what you were talking about earlier, I feel like I want him in that starting lineup, even though it doesn't positionally make a ton of sense. I want him over Prince at this point. Now, Prince positionally, yeah, he makes more sense because he can play 2 or 3 or whatever, and Hachimura really can't. But you can put LeBron in at the 3. you do see it a little defense, I suppose, but I don't know. Prince has not really impressed me that much as like a perimeter defender. You know, for his reputation, he can make shots. He's making like I think 38 or 39% from deep right now. And that's great on volume, but um, he's okay. He can stick to his man or whatever, but he can't lock anybody down really. So I don't think you're giving up that much, especially if he gets plenty of you play him 25 minutes or whatever. You get Vanderbilt in there too on the perimeter. I just think that Hachimura offers you a different look. He gives you so much size on the front line, and that's like been the Lakers' strength. And he was so impressive in the playoffs. And when he gets minutes, he's good still. But yeah, the defensive fit is a little weird. But and then yeah, in terms of the other takeaway of the game, they went away from Anthony Davis late. They had some like D'Angelo Russell hero ball moments, but I think if LeBron were there conducting the offense, it wouldn't have been an issue. So wasn't a big deal. I just kind of wish that, speaking of Darvin Ham's coaching, I wish that he had sort of called a timeout and just calmed them down and been like, feed Anthony Davis inside. They can't stop him. They don't have Victor Zubac. They have Mason Plumlee out there. So,
but
but
that's
other
what
than
comes
that,
back to with the frustrations of Darvin Ham, and like I don't necessarily think he's a bad coach.
no, he's okay.
He's yeah, he's okay. He's not a bad coach. Like some people want to go and say that he can't coach at all. I mean, granted, I understand he isn't the one who took them to the conference finals, but he's the one that helped them weather the storm last year,
Yeah,
get through all of that, get them to the playoffs, and then obviously from there everything happened. He's not a bad coach, and I think he's still learning. But the problem is when you coach a team like the Lakers that has a LeBron James on it, a Anthony Davis, you have to learn you can't just learn on the fly. You have to learn quickly and figure this out. And I think he's kind of slow played this, or he's just kind of taking things from last year, saying, "Oh, it's going to all work out. Oh, I believe in these guys." Blah blah blah. But no, you can't do that because now teams have tape on this team, right? Last year when they went to the conference finals, there wasn't very much tape on that roster to look at before games, so the Lakers were able to just kind of come out and play.
yeah, it's
Now
pretty
they've
new.
had a whole offseason. They've had, this year so far with the majority of the players back. You have to do something different. And that's been his issue. He hasn't been able to figure that out. He hasn't been able to put these players in a place for success. So I agree with you. I mean, going away from Anthony Davis was not a smart move. He could dominate that team if he wanted to. Who's going to guard him?
Yeah,
Kawhi?
yeah,
No, Kawhi's not guarding him. Kawhi's gonna be too tired at that point to try to guard him. It's just, but it's those little things that I think Laker fans, because they're like, wait, how do I know this? But you're not realizing this. Maybe it's in the heat of the moment. None of us have been an NBA head coach, right?
right.
So maybe in that moment, it's kind of hard to think about that or figure that out. But that's what you're getting paid to do, right? Like you're getting paid all this money to be that coach, and the great ones succeed in doing that. But I do agree with you on that. I wanted to make one point about the Prince thing. I said a couple weeks ago that Prince should only be playing like 20, 25 minutes,
Yeah,
and I'm glad that you have finally come around because I watched, and this was obviously very small sample size. In game 2 of this season, he got destroyed by Kevin Durant. Like he could not stop Kevin Durant. Not even get like Kevin
okay.
Durant to miss a shot. And from that game on, I was like, no, this man is not going to be our wing defender. Like I get it, Kevin Durant's one of the best players possibly ever, but he couldn't even get him to miss a shot, let alone anything. So from that point, I was like, no, we got to get someone else. Like he can't guard Kevin Durant, can't guard a Kawhi. Like that's gonna have to go to Vanderbilt or LeBron. I just think Prince is better suited for the bench. I do. I'm cool with Hachimura. I'm cool with Vanderbilt starting, but no more of this. No more of this Torian Prince in the starting lineup. He's shown that he can't do it, and I don't understand the infatuation with him. He's good, but like he's not. I mean, Ham did this last year with Dennis Schroeder too. Obsessed with him and just wouldn't stop playing him minutes, despite there were moments where it's like, hey, you clearly need to take him out of the game.
Yeah, although Schroeder at the end there, like in the playoffs, he
He was
was
great at the end,
outplaying
but
D'Angelo
like, so
Russell.
maybe Prince has that coming down the line.
Yeah, I miss
So maybe
Dennis
Darvin
Schroeder.
knows something we don't know. Prince is going to hit like a game-winning shot or something in the playoffs for us, or something like that. Maybe Darvin sees the future. I don't know, but the way he plays him is just very odd, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a bucket. Like he can make a lot of jumpers from all over the place, but Like he'll put up like 10 points and you haven't noticed he's in the game. He's like that kind of guy. But yeah, I agree. The defense isn't there the way I thought it was, and yeah, I'd be down for Vanderbilt. I guess you have enough creating and shooting elsewhere with LeBron shooting threes the way he is. I like Hachimura, but yeah, he's got limitations on defense. I think that there is going to be some kind of trade, so we probably don't have to even worry about it that much. But yeah, it's the Prince fit in the starting lineup is weird. It's a bummer because it seemed like such a clean fit, like size wise, it made so much sense. But yeah, it's just you just can't do it. All right, the last thing I was gonna say, I'm springing this on you, is do you have any other like more recent trade ideas for the Lakers? I came up with one, but I don't even know. It makes sense.
Who is it? I'm curious. Who is it?
All right, Malcolm Brogdon. Now, the issues with him are, of course, he gets hurt a lot. But he's just a better pure point guard than D'Angelo Russell. He doesn't have the offensive upside, maybe, but also he doesn't have the offensive downside. He's really steady. Much better defender, and doesn't need the ball in his hands nearly as much. I think he'd be a cleaner fit. I think he'd help you with the backcourt defense if he's healthy. If you preserve him in amber until the playoffs. So that's the big issue. Kind of a nice contract for what he really is, which is like a sixth man. So that's the other problem. And then also they still have that hole at the perimeter, so they have to do something else to address that defensively. So not the cleanest fit, but if they were doing other trades, I think getting him in there in a D'Lo swap with a pick, protected pick, whatever. Now they only have one protected pick and then 4 first-round pick swaps and then 4 second-rounders. Like that's all the draft equity they have to trade right now. So it's not like they can just throw that pick around. But I'm just saying Brogdon might require. Maybe they can get away with swaps in seconds. I don't know, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it is the Blazers. They're gonna try to squeeze every dime out of the Lakers if they're trading with them. I don't hate the Brogdon move. I was very shocked in a way that Boston decided to trade him. Obviously, it looks good now, but
Yeah,
I thought he was really good for them. So I was a little shocked that they traded him. But if he came to the Lakers, that'd be cool. I mean, he's another veteran too. He knows the playoffs and everything. This guy's been talked about a little bit, but we mentioned him, and it's Dennis Schroeder. I mean, I talked about him a second ago, but we haven't talked about him in trade talks. I'd be very, very interested in reacquiring Dennis Schroeder if the Raptors are willing to move him. I mean, at this point, you can't trust Gabe Vincent. I don't care when he's coming. You can't trust him this season, at least. So you need someone like that. This is also if D'Lo is staying. I guess. I mean, I guess if they get Murray too, it doesn't really matter. But you need a backup type point guard that could jump into the starting lineup if you needed, right? And that would be Schroeder. He knows the system. The players love him. The Laker fans love him, and he's on a what? I think he's making 12 or 13 million. So that's not the worst number that could hit next year for the Lakers. I mean, and he's shooting his second highest career percentage from beyond the 3-point line right now. I mean, I don't hate it. I would love to see him come back. If maybe the Raptors are willing to take on Vincent. I don't know. They're in the rebuild mode. I mean, he's a good, 27, 28-year-old point guard who, after his injury, maybe he can help them. Vincent in a couple 2 seconds or something. Just kind of get Schroeder back. I don't know how they can do it, but I would love to see it because, like I said, I'm not trusting Gabe Vincent whatsoever.
No,
not
it's
even.
crazy.
He didn't even look good when he was in the lineup.
He was clearly still hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't trust him at this point. And the Lakers have to find someone who can help on the perimeter, who can help defensively. And I mean, Schroeder has proven that he can.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyus Jones also, if they can get a deal done with Washington, that would be. I mean, I'd rather have Jones over Schroeder, but I think Washington's going to try to get a very nice deal for him because he's probably the best backup in the league. And I would love to have him on the Lakers, but that remains to be seen if Rob wants to give up what he's going to take, and I don't particularly think he's going to want to do that.
Yeah, Jones is a great idea. Now he has been discussed in trades, but he's also been discussed on this podcast, so that's why we didn't talk about him today. But yeah, I think He'd be a great fit. I think Schroeder's a great fit. It's crazy. I was so amped about the Gabe Vincent signing. I thought they should just let D'Lo walk, give Vincent the keys. That's your starter day one. Well, you know what? In a vacuum, if he'd never gotten hurt with this left knee effusion thing, that could have been all right. He was a starting
Could
point
have.
guard for a finals team. He was a pretty good three-point shooter in the playoffs, not so much in the regular season, but great as a sort of supplementary playmaker on the court with a ball-dominant forward. So I felt like the fit was great. But in
We're getting
retrospect,
Kendrick
Lakers should
Nunn
just
vibes
pay
here.
Schroeder. Schroeder has a shorter deal, a little more expensive per year, yeah, but like not much. It's like it's $11 million for Vincent versus on average versus Schroeder, which is like 12.4 this year, and then 13 million next year, and then he's a free agent. Like I
And
don't know why
Schroeder
the
is
Lakers don't just match.
dependable too. I mean, the dude
Yeah,
hasn't played less than 60 games in his career, I think, since his rookie year. I
man,
mean,
I'm
he's on
the
track to
Vincent
get that
upside,
now.
whatever, but yeah.
It's Kendrick Nunn 2.0. That's what I'm getting here.
Well, Kendrick Nunn, I hated that signing immediately because I was just annoyed with you saw it in the playoffs, like he just didn't have it. Like they couldn't count on him. I mean, he was a rookie, but still, like he just didn't give you anything defensively. Whereas Vincent, like he's a two-way guy.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
he
a
was
proven
great with
guy.
Miami, but like, dude comes over from Miami, then never really plays a game, and now we don't know when he's coming back. It's just giving Nunn vibes over here.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
get it.
Heat have like a
It's
secret
over.
formula over there. I don't know what they're doing over there, making these players great, and then they leave and they suck. So like,
Pat Riley just
yeah, just the
drains their
Riley
knees when they
Spoelstra.
leave.
I mean, I wanted your opinion. We didn't talk about this. I'm just curious. If you were Rob Pelinka, put yourself in his shoes for a second. Are you trading D'Angelo Russell based off of everything? You can look at the last couple games, last season. I'm just curious what your opinion is.
That's a really good question. Okay, so yeah, I've been thinking about this because I love the camaraderie between him and the other Lakers recently. Like he's really vibing, especially with Reeves. Like they're really good friends. They do all their like pressers together. I will as many as they can. And I'd be bummed to lose him at this point. I don't think they have to. I think that they could do a Hachimura thing, and they've got a lot of front court depth, so they could probably keep him if they wanted to. I think it depends on the deal. I think if Murray is the target or something, and they can, keep Russell and Reeves somehow in that deal, then sure, yeah. I was much less enthusiastic about Russell before this like January run. So the one thing about him is that like if he's your starting point guard going into the playoffs, it's a tough look. I just speaking of counting on somebody, like his shooting always goes down. He barely can like I think he had like one or two games where he shot over 50% from the field in his entire postseason career, and that was last year for the first time with the Lakers. So I just feel that it's risky. His defensive issues are a problem. Like there's nothing he can do about it. Like he is what he is at this point in his career. He's older, but middle aged for the NBA. But I feel like I don't mind him sticking around in a vacuum. It's just like, what else are you doing? You have to do something else. LeBron James is 39. You can't just like take this team as is in the playoffs, in my opinion. I get what you're saying about the coaching being part of the problem. I do think there's some of that. There were some games maybe they left on the table, but even still, like, it's tough to see this team beating like all the size now in the West too. I mean, not the Thunder, I guess. The Thunder are a pretty good matchup for the Lakers, but the Timberwolves are huge, and obviously the Nuggets are huge. And the Clippers matchup is okay just because they're not their talent isn't there in terms of the front court as much. Well, in terms of the center, actually. Let me just say the center. But so and also I just don't trust the Clippers to be healthy in the playoffs, so I'm not really that worried about them honestly. But yeah, I think I would be okay with D'Lo staying. I would not be okay with Pelinka making no moves. So if I'm Pelinka, I'm looking to um, it depends on the asset, I think. But yeah, if it's Murray, then okay. But short of like a
Yeah,
pretty high level point guard, I'd rather not, honestly. But I get it. That's probably what you want the position to be for you. It's like he's
I
like
mean, he's
playing.
their best shooter too. That's the issue. Is if you trade him, he's their best shooter, and he can run the offense. He's their best passer other than LeBron. I mean, he has pretty nice camaraderie with Davis, pick and roll and whatnot. So, like, that's my worry with Russell. But then I'm also trying to think, like, long term, too, because Russell could leave at the end of the year.
There's a player option for
So,
next year. Yeah.
and he's probably going to decline it at this point. So it's like
Is he?
if he continues playing this way, he's going to decline that. And look, and some team's going to give him a nice contract.
Maybe. It's just
Unless you are getting a DeJounte Murray, you keep Russell, in my opinion.
You flip
Murray,
Reeves?
yes. Yeah, I mean, I think I would do that.
Yeah.
The thing with I think unless you are getting Murray, I would keep Russell because you're not going to get anyone better than DeJounte Murray at this deadline. Most likely, you never know.
No.
Maybe some star ass out or something in the next week and a half or whatever. But like,
especially on that money, that's a crazy contract. He's making D'Angelo Russell money.
but that's the thing. Like, I would keep Russell unless you're getting Murray back. That's the only way I'm moving Russell because no one else fits this well with this team. You can also, I mean, if you get Murray, you can flip him. If you don't like the fit, the team is going to want to get a potential all-star on that contract, right?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of downside to getting a Murray, in my opinion, at least.
I agree.
But there is a downside to keeping Russell. Can't get Murray because, like you said, with his defensive issues and all that. But I mean, I love D'Angelo Russell, to be fair. So I don't want to see him go again. But if you can upgrade, you kind of have to. You owe it to LeBron at this point. I don't know. It's a tough one for Pelinka. I think ultimately he's going to get moved. I think he knows he's going to get moved, and we've seen their body language at times. And I think he's been this little surge he's on is showing teams this is what I can do. So come and get me. Come and get me. I'll be your point guard for the next year or two, and we can go from there. But it's going to be an interesting little bit of time here for the Lakers, and they're going to be connected to every single player basically that becomes available. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch how it play out. It's going to be fun to cover it. All Lakers.com. We're covering every rumor basically that's coming out. Different editorials, and Alex does a great job here. He's one of the editors. He does a great job. So make sure to go to All Lakers and check out all the content there.
Yeah, give us a read, why don't you? And subscribe to this YouTube channel, please. There will be much more content in the weeks and months to come.